Every story you read, every headline that flashes across your screen, every news alert buzzing on your phone is filtered through billionaires. Whether it's your morning newspaper, a primetime TV broadcast, or even your social media feed, the world's richest people are pulling the strings. But how exactly do billionaires control the media? And what does that mean for the rest of us? Stick around, because the truth might change the way you see the news forever. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's start with the most obvious form of control: ownership. When you look at the media landscape, you'll notice something striking. A handful of billionaires and corporations own the outlets that shape our daily reality. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, bought the Washington Post in 2013 for $250 million. He didn't buy it because it was a profitable business. Newspapers have been bleeding money for decades. He bought it because owning one of America's most respected papers gives you influence in Washington, the very city where his company lobbies for favorable policies. Rupert Murdoch, the media tycoon behind Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, The Sun, and dozens of international outlets, has been shaping politics for over half a century. In the US, his empire is known for conservative politics. In the UK and Australia, his outlets also sway elections and public opinion. Politicians know that getting on Murdoch's bad side can cost them dearly. Michael Bloomberg, worth over $90 billion, runs Bloomberg News, a media company with thousands of journalists worldwide. His outlet covers finance and business, but guess what one of their editorial rules is? They don't investigate Bloomberg himself or his company. Imagine controlling an outlet that reports on the very industry you profit from, and conveniently deciding where the spotlight doesn't shine. And this isn't just in America. In Mexico, Carlos Slim once held a massive stake in the New York Times. In Italy, Silvio Berlusconi used his media empire to help him climb into political power. Around the world, billionaires see media not as a business, but as a weapon. Owning media isn't about headlines. It's about leverage. Control the story, and you control the conversation. Control the conversation, and you can shape politics, markets, and culture. But it's not only about what's published, it's also about what isn't. This brings us to the second form of control: agenda setting. Media doesn't tell you what to think, but it does tell you what to think about. If a billionaire-owned outlet decides to run wall-to-wall coverage on crime, it shapes how the public feels about safety, even if crime rates are actually falling. If they choose to emphasize immigration, taxes, or government spending, those issues dominate political debates, regardless of whether they're the most urgent problems in society. Take tax policy. Billionaire-owned outlets often run op-eds about how high taxes hurt innovation, how the wealthy already pay their fair share, and how corporate tax hikes will kill jobs. What you rarely see are in-depth stories on how billionaires avoid taxes through offshore accounts or legal loopholes. Or consider climate change. Some outlets downplay its urgency, protecting industries tied to oil and gas. Others emphasize solutions that happen to align with the investments of their owners, like electric cars or carbon capture technology. The real power lies in silence. If a story never reaches you, you'll never know to question it. And when you don't even realize what's missing, you can't push back. But billionaire control isn't just about topics, it's also about spin. This is where subtlety comes in. Billionaires don't have to call up editors and demand favorable coverage, though sometimes they do. Most of the time, the culture of the newsroom shifts naturally. Journalists learn which stories get published and which ones mysteriously stall. They learn what tone gets rewarded. Over time, they start self-censoring, shaping stories to fit the unspoken rules of the outlet. That's why one outlet might describe Elon Musk as a visionary genius changing the world, while another might call him a reckless billionaire risking everything. Same facts, same person, but two totally different narratives. And those narratives shape how the public sees these figures, whether as heroes, villains, or something in between. Now let's talk about the new frontier of billionaire control: technology. Traditional media like newspapers and TV still matter, but today, tech platforms are the new media empires. And their billionaire owners don't just influence the conversation, they control the infrastructure of information itself. Elon Musk owns X, formerly Twitter. It's not just a social media platform for politicians, journalists, and activists. It's the front line of breaking news. By controlling X, Musk controls the town square of the digital age. He decides what speech is allowed, what gets boosted, and what gets buried. Mark Zuckerberg runs Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Billions of people rely on these platforms for information. The news they see is filtered through algorithms that prioritize engagement, often showing you what will keep you scrolling, not what's accurate. That means outrage and sensationalism rise to the top. And then there's Google, which owns YouTube and dominates online search. If Google decides to change its algorithm, entire industries rise or collapse overnight. The information you can easily find, and the information buried on page 10, is determined by a company run by some of the wealthiest people in the world. This is a whole new level of control. Billionaires aren't just deciding which stories matter. They're deciding which stories reach you personally, based on what the algorithm thinks will keep you engaged. And when the incentives are profit, not truth, misinformation thrives. Why should you care? Because democracy only works if citizens are informed. If the information we consume is filtered through billionaires with their own agendas, our decision-making as a society becomes distorted. Think about elections. A billionaire-owned outlet can subtly push narratives that favor one candidate over another. A platform can adjust algorithms in ways that shape what millions of voters see in the weeks leading up to an election. This isn't conspiracy, it's power in plain sight. We're not just talking about bias in reporting. We're talking about billionaires having the ability to tilt elections, influence laws, and protect their own wealth. They can silence criticism, manufacture consent, and frame themselves as indispensable to society. And because so much of this happens invisibly, through silence, omission, or algorithms, we rarely notice. So what can you do? First, diversify your sources. Don't rely on just one outlet, especially if it's owned by a billionaire with clear interests. Seek out independent journalism, non-profit newsrooms, or creators who don't answer to corporate boards. Second, question headlines. Ask yourself, who benefits from me believing this? Who loses? And what voices are missing from this story? And third, support media that holds power accountable. Journalism only works if it's funded, and independent outlets often rely on readers instead of billionaires. At the end of the day, billionaires don't just control wealth, they control narratives. And in today's world, controlling the story might be the most powerful weapon of all. If you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and share this with someone who still thinks the news is neutral. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think billionaire-owned media is a threat to democracy or just smart business? Let me know in the comments below.